Sure. Mm. Doing great. Yeah. We feeling good over there? Zoom's all set up. Everything's good. Great. I have 6:34. Let's call this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, just want to let everyone know that there's a recording device at the dais for the purposes of making meeting minutes. We're also streaming live and we'll be archiving on our YouTube channel. The notice of advertisement for public advertisement is up at the dais as well. It's a pretty short agenda today. Before we get into the presentation, just I guess a reminder that this isn't an overall budget meeting today. We're certainly open to having discussions about the Schaefer Preserve budget, but the overall budget, that meeting is being held on December 9th. And because there's so many folks here, just be mindful of the amount of time you take and be concise in your questions or thoughts or public comment. And if you've gone up once, let's make sure that everybody has a chance to go up once before you kind of come back. And then lastly, just let's be mindful and courteous to the greatest extent that we can. All right. With that, we're going into prior to the presentation prepared by Chester Valley Engineers. There was some discussion in our Tuesday Board of Supervisors meeting about certain questions. So we did try to prepare some slides that went over the history of the program to date. There was not an opportunity to circulate this with the entire board because it was something that was getting pulled together today. But I'd like to share some of this and go through it pretty quickly and hopefully not step on your guys' toes at all with what you guys are presenting. So I'm assuming folks are able to see that as well. Great. I'm going to do it from here just for expediency. But again, for folks that aren't aware, this is a 20-acre parcel on Bethel Road, adjacent to Goodley Road, Saren Farm Lane, and Amos Creek, roughly 20 acres, purchased by the township, Dr. Schaefer in 2021. It was about $577,000 was the purchase price. And the area that was purchased falls under the conservation easement with the North American Land Trust, who we usually call NALT. Then we can see at the bottom, just there's trees, there's meadow, there's wetlands, and there's a man-made pond at the back. So the intent at the time of acquisition was to acquire the property with intention for the whole community to be able to access and utilize it. In 1999, the easement only allows for passive recreation. So questions about the types of things that can be done at the park, it's really low impact things, bird watching, walking, hiking, picnicking, things like that. But no sports field or anything. The following bullets are, the types of activities and features that you could see at a preserve like this. In the little bubble, you can see in 2022, Bethel Township hired Simone Collins, landscape architecture, to do the concept plans for the preserve. And then there was some criteria from the Parks and Open Spaces steering committee, along with public comment and research. It's just a history of where we are coming to this point, how many public meetings we've had. So it started really in early of 2023. And the last meeting that we had about this subject specifically was January of this year. The Open Space Committee that helped with the open space plan was a combination of Parks and Recreation members, some landowners that live adjacent to the property, and folks from the Planning Commission Board. There was questions about the survey that was put out at the time. This is a question that came out in our last Board of Supervisors meeting. So there was a total of 314 residents that participated in that survey. And we can see the statistics there of the folks and what the outcome was relative to Schaefer Preserve or parks of this nature. I presume that a version of this is probably going to be posted online. So I don't want to waste you guys' time with going through those stats.
The survey itself is found in the open space plan at the end for 12 questions.
23, yeah. Sure, yeah. 59% of residents wanted improved pedestrian and bicycling access to township parks. 80% of respondents wanted walking, jogging trails at the new Schaefer Preserve. 84% of respondents said they wanted a walking path. 71% of respondents said that parks, trails, and open spaces are very important to the quality of life in the township. Well, so I have to say, if we're going to have public comment, we have to come to the podium and give our name and address. So I'll get through this, and then if you have that question, if we can bring it up at the time, I appreciate that. Thank you. Again, the planned features, I think that the engineers are going to do a great job of explaining that, but there's a parking lot with 16 spaces identified with a portable restroom. There is a boardwalk for pedestrian access for walkability from the road access point. That would provide access for approximately 134 additional properties. The features, the trail itself is ADA compliant. One of the big reductions overall was original concepts. The paved trails were 1.35 miles. That's been reduced down to 0.42 miles. And then, there's various, the forest is staying intact. The meadows are being recultivated with, I'm sorry, yeah, but I forget what the term is, but I'm talking about the indigenous plant species. Thank you, native. Thank you. Next slide, please. So this is a slide that was shared in the budget meeting, just bringing it again because there's a lot of questions on it about dollars spent to date. So in short, 753,000 spent to date. Out of that, general fund allocation was $66,000. The remainder was grants and the American Rescue Plan Act allocation from the previous board. I think there may be one more slide. Okay. Yeah, so folks were interested in, and this is information also available in the Schaefer Preserve tab on the township website, but the pending grants outstanding, the $10,000 Pico Green Region grant that requires a $10,000 match, and then a PA local share grant in the amount of $782,460. And you can see here that they required a $250,000 match. I'm not sure about the not necessarily required part.
The grant itself doesn't require a match, but because the grant project costs over $1 million. So we have to run
Okay. And it says that, it's okay, I can pull it up. You're right. So as Supervisor Iacono said, if the budget exceeds the grant amount, then fee in lieu from the recreation fee in lieu fee can be used. We're waiting to hear about the award, but haven't heard yet back because it's been delayed. So we are going to be resubmitting for the 2025. Next slide, please. So I believe this slide has been updated with the updated price from Chester Valley Engineers for the total cost amount. I think it's slightly higher than what was presented in the budget meeting. I think it was a little less than 1.3 million prior. Now it's 1.37 million. And again, that shows the grant that we already have, the DCNR 2024 grant, the amount we have in our fee in lieu account, the remainder of the allocation that was identified on ARP, and then what's currently shown in the preliminary budget for general fund use of $130,000, which still leaves the remainder of $562,000 below the line that needs to be secured with alternate funding sources, of which the previous slide would certainly be both of those. That's it for that, just the background. Thanks for the patience on that. Please, yeah, I'd say if we can hold that one question, if that's okay, and we can roll right into the presentation. I'd like to welcome Chester Valley Engineers to provide their update. I think what might be best is to allow them to get through their slides, and then we can have that comment, and they'll be happy to go back. Next slide, please.
I don't think either.
I'll mention we're going to start with a couple of planning updates. Then we can start with a brief overview, the next couple of slides.
Speak up, please. I can't hear you back. Is that red light on?
No.
There you go.
How about now? Hello.
No, it wasn't on, Bill. The red light wasn't on. Technology for you.
Is that any better? No?
It's not.
It's not gonna amplify in here. That's for the folks at home.
Awesome, yeah.
Oh,
Just
even
talk
better.
louder for the folks in the
I
room.
will try. Not too loud, but I will do my best. So we're going to discuss a couple of the plan updates, and then the next couple slides are the actual engineering plans, which I will point out each and every one of these updates. So starting at the Sarum Farm area, there used to be a 10-foot high berm. We got public feedback, resident feedback. That's been decreased to 4 feet. It's been shortened in length. We're doing our best to retain existing landscape in the area, also supplement with additional plantings and then some privacy fence. Speaking of which, there used to be a berm located east of the parking lot towards the Sarum Farm properties. We've completely eliminated that, again, in an effort to retain existing landscaping. Thanks, a little dry. So we're getting rid of that. We're installing about 240 linear feet of privacy fence, 6-foot high vinyl fence. Also within the same area, there was a light pole on the western side of the parking lot. That's been located to the east in an effort to shine light away from the Sarum Farm properties. Moving over to the bridge, we added about 100 linear feet of fencing just to promote residents and other trail goers to maintain walkability on the trail, on the bridge, keep them off of private properties. Lastly, we've incorporated a landscaping plan, which Al can talk to in a little bit. Infiltration soils testing, we performed some additional testing back in June of 2025, specifically by the large basin adjacent to the woodlands and the stream. So not surprisingly, we didn't get any sort of percolation, any sort of infiltration. So in order to meet DEP requirements, we had to add a third basin. The large basin still exists, but it's been raised along with the trail to provide a much less slope. It's like 1 or 2%, which is pretty favorable. Lastly, not necessarily a plan update, just general updates. We've sent plans, draft plans off to NALT. We expect to get comments after we submit final plans to them, and we can address whatever they fire back at us. Lastly, as of Tuesday, we had a meeting with DEP in the Delaware County Conservation District to discuss the bridge and wetland permitting. It was pretty favorable. We have a path to proceed. So, yeah, can I walk over there and point?
Can you walk over there and point, Bill?
Is that easiest? I want to. Perfect. I'm going to come over here and point, do my best to project my voice. I'll try. So based off that last slide, let's start with Sarah Farm area. So there used to be, I know you guys can see them there. This is west, this is north, this is east, just kind of at the clip. So there used to be a light pole on the western side of the parking lot that's been revised. It's now on the eastern side to project light away from the Tenant Farm property. There's now about 240 linear feet privacy fence that pretty much covers the first two properties. Now we'll touch on the landscaping, which is also planned in that area. It will be meander further down the bridge. That is about 60 linear feet of fence here to tie from the existing proposed bridge. About 40 linear feet of fencing from here to tie back to the existing bridge over there, or the existing fencing over there, excuse me. Lastly, the trail shift, which happened in this area. You're not going to see the basin on this plan, it's on the next plan, but the trail's been shifted to the high side of the basin. Now with the grading and storm plan, which you can kind of see, I hope you can see the basin a little better. Again, trail shift to the high side basin relatively in the same location as before, just a higher elevation. This is the location of the third basin. We did infiltration testing there previously, pretty favorable results. So that'll collect and manage water from the trail and berm areas. From the berm, drastic decrease in scope. Only 4 feet high as opposed to 10 feet high. It only covers about 3 of the properties here before we retain the existing landscaping here. We have some proposed landscaping, proposed trees located in this area with the 240 feet of fence. That's it. As far as the updates go, now we have a landscaping plan, which
which I'm up. So essentially, the trail has pretty much remained the same as the original design. The only difference was because that one large basin, which is this colored area here, was added. Instead of having the trail run along the wood, we actually put it on the high side. So from a landscaping perspective, we focused our buffer plantings along the Sarah Farm perimeter fencing, which is right here, as well as on the Goodley Road entrance here. Those plantings will be native plantings, a mixture of evergreen trees and deciduous shrubs, as well as some deciduous trees. The whole point is to basically screen the park from the neighbors in those areas. We are going to do a collection of some evergreen trees along the earthen berm, the 3-foot berm. But the whole idea of the rest of Sarah Farm is that we're going to preserve the existing trees that are there. That will act as the buffer. The colors that you see, the very bright kind of orange and yellow, they are the basins. We're going to plant those with wildflower meadows. The light green color is where there's going to be lawn. So the intent is really to have 3 feet of lawn on either side of the path, and then a 3-foot lawn area at the top, which is the high side of the site that you can overlook into the valley area. The remainder of the site will be allowed to be vegetated with wildflowers. One other thing we're going to do is the blue area. We are going to revegetate or turn the pond into a wetland because we are going to be doing some wetland disturbance for the trail going out to Goodley Road. We will mitigate that disturbance by creating a wetland in the pond. So that's the extent of the landscaping. And pretty much the details are going to remain the same. If you were here last time in January, this is the concept we're trying to portray with regards to the trail. It's an asphalt trail, 8 feet wide.
8 feet wide,
8
6 feet on the Offshoots.
Okay, at 6 feet on the Goodley Road side, with 3 feet of lawn on either side and then meadow beyond that. So it's going to remain kind of a naturalistic preserve. The plantings that we're using again are native. We're using eastern red cedar, the magnolia, which is the second from the left image, as well as serviceberry, it'll bloom whites, and then large oaks. One thing we are going to do is replace the alley of ash trees that are along the main corridor in the center and plant it with oaks, so that way it has a replacement when the ash trees ultimately do succumb to their disease. Then use shrubs that are very colorful in the landscape in the fall, such as red twig dogwood. These are some of the amenities. If you were here last time, again, we're using the same amenities. The solar light, we're not going to use electrical power. These will be solar powered, and there are two. Both of them will be positioned to shine the light away from Sarum Farms. The bridge itself is Corten steel, they call it. It rusts and it has a nice natural feel to it. It also allows stormwater to flow through it. It has a very open profile. That's going to make the connection out to Goodley Road. We are showing the pavilion that is not a part of phase one. That would be a future phase if the township decides to implement that at a later date. There will be some site furniture. We're still working out the details of the site furniture. This is just a potential image for the bench. I think there's a total of 7 benches and a couple of trash receptacles in the park. And then the lower right-hand image is basically a naturalized basin, and that's the intent of how it would look. Cost-wise, this is currently where we're at today. This is everything that we just talked about. We're approximately 1.3 million, just slightly over that. That includes everything from the excavation and grading, tree removal, any demolition, all the grading of the site, the asphalt paving for the trails, as well as the asphalt paving for the parking lot, any signage, site furniture, and the light fixtures. A couple of things that are not included in this proposal are tree removal items that were listed in the arborist report. We are removing some of the trees that were endangered trees when we do the basin construction, but there still are some trees that will have to be removed at a later date. The fencing that is chain link around the perimeter, we are not touching that. We are leaving that as is, and it will be repaired as needed in the future. And that one pavilion image, that is something that could be decided to be added later. You want to talk about the schedule real quick?
Brief schedule update. We've been working on the NPDS permit plans. Immediately following this meeting, maybe next week, maybe the end of November, we plan to submit for an NPDS permit to the Delaware County Conservation District. Shortly thereafter, we're going to submit for a GP7 is what it's called, for the bridge and the wetlands impacts. That might lag slightly behind end of November, early December, but assuming a 7-month permit timeline, which is pretty aggressive, pretty standard. We expect to have permits end of June 2026, where we can start talking about construction.
And I think that concludes our presentation this
It does.
evening. Any questions from the board first?
No, I don't think I have one at this time.
Thank you.
I've reserved my time. I give my time to the public, so.
I don't know if you guys want to sit and just come up as needed,
Whatever's
or
easy.
whatever's easier
No, I
for
don't
you. You could be
understand.
standing for a while, so it's up to you.
Well,
I sit all day.
let's change your mind here.
Can I go backwards a little bit?
Yeah, feel free.
Just to make some of his questions is fine. Most actually, most of I haven't met.
He's trying to control her.
So I'm sorry. John Nevy, 3213 Sarum Farm Lane. Appreciate the plans. Actually, they are actually very good, actually. And I made these comments last time. I think I was one of them who talked about the berm being a little too high. Couple questions. One, you have, and these will be somewhat selfish. One, you have the, let's see if the laser actually.
No, the
works.
laser won't work on
It's
that.
not
It's not gonna work on the screen.
So-
All
You need
right.
the special laser.
Yeah,
for that.
that, I'm right there.
Yep.
So why do you have the larger lawn there? Because I thought part of the goal, I thought, is we'd had some discussions the last time we had it was to try and kind of drive people away from the houses. And I think overall it does a great job, but with kind of, unfortunately, the exception of right behind my house. And
So understood. And
just want to understand that a little
no,
bit.
it's a valid point. We try to provide an area for basically maintenance. The maintenance vehicles have to come in, offload their lawn cutting machines, because they're gonna still maintain the small trails along the edge as well as the lawn area at the top. We can narrow that if you want. The idea is that we try to preserve all those trees in that area, but if you want us to narrow that, we can do
Well,
that.
actually, no, I know the tree you're talking about. It's a lovely tree, actually.
Yeah, it is.
I know, and so if it's more for vehicles and things that makes some sense. Again, if there's some, as I've talked about, if we can do some things, maybe with some landscape and just kind of drive people. What happens right now is everyone just comes in right off the street and they just literally walk right up along the fence lines, which if you get dogs off the leash at 7 a.m. yelping, to wake you up is never a
No.
fun way
I
to
think
wake
we
up
can-
in the morning.
I think we can probably pull that back a little bit just to be,
Yeah, again, as I've said, I think there's landscaping things, again, that'll just subtly drive people down. And as I said, it actually, and you've seen it, it slopes down from there. So you get, 10 feet off of the fence line, it starts sloping down enough where I don't care. I've seen people. So that was first question.
Yeah, we can narrow that.
Lovely. Why 16 parking spaces? I'm speaking for myself and some of the other neighbors I know. Is there a reason 16 was chosen as opposed to say 8?
That was part of the original plan. We've maintained that quantity ever since. I mean, 16 typically in our planning of parks is fairly small. Of a park of this size, we would try and at least do 25 or more,
Okay.
but 16 is probably the least I would recommend for something like this.
I may be able to add some context, and there was additional parking before, and I think it was kind of like
on the flip side.
on
Yeah,
two
we flipped over on
sides.
the other side, yeah.
So when that got reduced, I think this was the number within the allotment, because that's like the pavable area.
Yeah, and I agree. And no, I understand that. Yeah, that part I know. All right. You touched on the other, one of the big concerns we've had, I think everyone's had neighbor wise, is the location of the entranceway. And it doesn't look like from the plans that I'm seeing, you're actually, that you're in any way widening the current entranceway off of Bethel Road. And as we've talked about, it doesn't look as bad on the map. You guys have been there. It is a very wicked very wicked curve. Just because it's at that bottom of that hill and right at the turn. Has there been feedback from PennDOT yet? What's the thoughts on that? And are there concerns? I know and I know, I'm sure the other neighbors who live nearby, we all have concerns about that. I mean, we have concerns just having the bus stop at Sarum Farm and Stillwood, so.
We've actually had 4 or 5 maybe scoping meetings with PennDOT where we've discussed various things, including speed studies. The Bethel Township Police Department actually did 2 speed studies for us,
Okay.
which resulted in 36 miles per hour for the 85th percentile speed,
Okay.
which is what they base these driveways and these site distances off of.
Mhm.
So technically, per their study, per PennDOT standards, there is enough site distance there.
Okay.
So
And
there
then
have been discussions.
We were asked to like kind of widen out the radius on the way in so that there was
Correct.
enough of.
So I'm gonna.
It's not quite exactly where the existing driveway is. I think it's shifted
Is it
just
shifted
a little
further
bit, and it
west
is
a little
wider.
bit?
We only have a little bit of frontage there to begin with.
Right. No, I know you only,
Yeah.
I know that. And I know it also,
It slopes down.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you have the,
Utility pole.
well, not the,
The berm, it's
I'm
like a
actually thinking the
berm.
berm,
Yeah.
the hill, the hill goes up real,
It's an embankment.
and that's what I could not think of. Thank you. An embankment there. No, overall, again, I think, we certainly, I think, and I'll defer to any other of my neighbors who are here. Our biggest concerns have been the parking lot, and those pieces, but certainly I think this is, certainly been very respectful to to the comments we've made. So, again, I think we still, our bias is still towards, we see it, rather see this as a preserve and as minimal touching of this as possible. But certainly there's been pieces there. I do have I'm sorry, as I'm thinking about it, and because I don't want to have to come back up.
Understood.
You talked about Nault, and I know that living there, I know the covenant, unfortunately, backwards and forwards. Is the berm going to fly? Because I do know the covenant is it has a very plain, basic language about the ability to do any type of
Typographical modification.
any
Yeah.
modifications to the property along those lines. And I raised this concern, I think, when we had the initial discussion when you were talking about the 10-foot high berm. I'm wondering if the 4 foot high is going to run into similar concerns.
Well, I think we're just gonna have to wait for their feedback and their comments and whether they support or don't support.
Yeah, it's,
you know.
they got the draft and then, they said, they noticed some of the changes from the original Simone
Sure.
Collins plan. We kind of went over, and they haven't seen this
Yeah.
set, so.
And I would.
I think they got the 10-foot high berm actually, right? I think that's
Probably,
what, yeah. And then they said they would review it,
Sure.
but they didn't have any like glaring concerns right off the bat, but we
Okay.
won't really know until they meet and.
The other concern point I would say, and just point out is, I think, you have a paved path in there. Again, the covenant, I think, says it has to be natural materials. So again, and it's more of a pointing it out that, and again, I know that there are natural materials that are ADA compliant. I know they're obscenely expensive relative to asphalt.
Especially maintenance too.
And maintenance is another issue, but I do know that is, it's one of those points I do recall from reading it, but, no, I appreciate the effort you guys are going to, and again, to try and protect the neighbors and do as much as you can to kind of minimize the impact on everyone, so. I can't speak for neighbors on lots 1 and 2, and I think lot 1's probably okay with the fence. I can't speak for lot 2, whether they, what their opinion is going to be about having a privacy fence in between them or rather, but, we can have those discussions at a later time. And again, presumably that's something that could be discussed with the individual homeowners about
Yeah.
whether they prefer just having the foliage there or. Okay.
I think when she came up, and I'm guessing she's not here, but when she came
I
up at
think
the
they're out of
last
town.
meeting, I think she wanted that fence there.
And that's, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why
She
we,
didn't with the
She was
berm.
against the burn.
Okay, that's, I couldn't,
No,
I could
she's
not
against-
recall
Yeah.
I couldn't with Bob and Linda wanted to.
I know lot 1 definitely didn't want to.
Lot
see
1, I know.
anything. Yeah,
I've talked with them. They just want the privacy fence and just.
but if you hear otherwise from lot 2 and she'd rather not have the fence.
I haven't talked, I know that, I think they were, the last I checked, I heard that they were going out to California to visit their grandson, so.
Well, that's a change that's an easy enough change to remove it.
No, as I said, again, I think this is certainly much better. Appreciate the, taking the feedback from everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have a question. I just wanted to jump.
I'll get stuff real quick. Dave Tustin, 1159 Namens Creek Road. Wow, looks great. I love it. But I had some questions. Look, it's a different plan than was on the website that I looked at this morning. I may have picked the wrong link, so I apologize.
Well,
for that.
there's multiple sets of the
I know.
plans on there because we put the landscaping, the grading and the site plans. A lot of
I
info.
think, I grabbed one that's the same picture, but I grabbed one that looks like that. So that's an
That's
older.
Simone
one.
Collins.
Hmm.
It's the original.
Oops, I grabbed the wrong one. Because looking at that, I'm thinking, man, you're ripping up everything. So, so along that straight line there, you're retaining as many trees as possible?
Yes.
Okay, so I know one of the things we like to do is keep old growth trees, and I guess you did a lot survey of that.
Everything was surveyed, by the arborist beforehand, so we had.
So we're good on
everything
that.
documented.
Okay.
Can I just interject? Just there was identified some disease trees.
I believe
And-
you want to take that.
So they are old, what you would consider old growth.
Yeah. they're
And
gonna fall down anyway.
correct.
I get
A lot of
that.
them are ash.
I think I have one of them, so I have done.
please continue. Sorry.
So in the upper part where you're putting in the bridge,
Yes.
two questions on that. One, it looks like if I'm looking at the top, the elevation plan, can't get it out correctly. Looks like a 20-foot drop. Is that correct?
It's not 20 feet from the bridge now.
Well,
I
from
mean, it's
the
20
bridge up down there, it looks like a pretty good angle. I don't know. I
The
just
whole property
is
just-
steep.
20 feet. from-
drops.
Well, I can't really pick, right near where the lake is up to the road. It looked like a delta. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading.
You mean from the pond up to
From
the
the pond
parking
up
lot?
to-
That probably is 20
Probably.
feet, yeah.
So I'm just saying, because that's gonna be a pretty good slope to get up there. But anyway. I'm not really caring about that too much. That was just an observation. I was going to talk about the cost items a little bit. So I see we're removing some fences and adding some fences back in. Oh, you have a cross,
Yeah,
you have a cross slide?
we do.
Oh, that's good.
No.
We just have a total cost. We don't.
Oh.
Yeah, I put the actual cost estimate on the website,
Yeah.
but it's the
what
same
I have.
number.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, we're taking fences off and adding back in. Can we just leave them up and not?
Well, the chain link fence that
I
runs,
saw that was an optional removal, and then there was a cost to put a split rail in, but then But I'm not sure what the overall costs were, if they include those optional costs. The only reason,
That's-
the
he's
only
got-
reason
I
I'm
don't know
bringing
what
this
the
up,
optional-
why do you think I'm bringing it up? Because we have a budget issue.
Yeah, I don't know what the
and if we
optional
can reduce
is.
numbers.
Yeah, I think the only fence we're adding is that vinyl fence.
Oh, you're not,
It's
because I see.
You have to take down the,
I see here, I see split rail fence, east side and west side, or am I looking?
that's
at
for the
old-
bridge. That's a, no, that's,
Oh, all right, well,
well, you do have split rail though at the bottom where the bridge is.
all right, maybe I can ask this question, then, maybe it's good or not. Boardwalk, it seems like that's very expensive,
We have
right?
no boardwalk.
Well, we're saving all kinds of money, I didn't even know. All right, and we're waiting on the pavilion, what about the gazebo?
That's the same thing, yeah.
We're waiting on that?
Future.
So they are not in the 1.2 million, so I'm thinking I'm saving money by asking questions and no.
They're great questions. This is this is
You already
exactly what.
discussed them. I wish
yeah.
I would have been here. This was, I'm sorry I didn't come earlier. I feel like I'm jumping in at the 11th hour. And I saw there's a lot of, well, I'm not gonna ask that question, a lot of trees goes being planted. Okay. Then my only other question I have for you, well, I probably have a couple others, but I'll save them for other people. So the bridge and from going up from where we're now gonna have a wetlands, up to Goodley Road, could that be a phase 2? What I mean by that is, because that's an expensive piece, can we put that in the 27 budget so that we can balance this year's budget? Can we cut some of that out and delay it, you know? I thought, just think about that. Because that would really help us out from a budget perspective. That would take a big chunk. Now it'd be down to, 750K. Then we'll have to figure that out. And then my other question is, and if we do that, and we get our costs for this project down, can we use the entire PA money for this project and not have to put in? Because if I remember correctly, let's see here, the PA share was 782K. So if we have our project in 26, 782, can we spend that entire amount?
Correct.
And then what we can do is we can have the rec feedback so we can fix the other
Yep,
parts.
that's the intent.
And then we can have the ARP feedback so we can fund some of the
Yeah.
other budgets. And then when the general fund may not have to spend.
Yes.
300.
So,
Wow, we could save 400. So
So-
we could save.
That's why we
almost-
write grants.
but no, but we could save almost $900,000 and almost get rid of our debt for this year. So by deferring, putting that bridge into phase 2.
I have to stop you just there for a second. And absolutely, obviously, the intent is to try to fund as much as possible. But if anybody's seeing a $1.3 million park development cost and assuming that 100% of that is realized in the
No,
budget,
No, I
it's
wasn't,
not.
I wasn't worried about that.
Yeah.
What I was worried about is, can we defer a piece of it?
I understand what you're, but
Because
when
you know
you
what,
say
as soon as
the,
this is done, I want to go over there and look at it because it really looks beautiful in those pictures. You know, I want to see the birds and see the meadow. It looks
but
nice.
pulling out a $300,000 item in this package, it may reduce the $130,000 line item in the budget, but it wouldn't be a $300,000 direct rip off of the general fund.
No, I get that, but
Put it
what
on
I
our
was
budget.
thinking is, we had, so if we save, I'm wasting your guys a lot of time, and I know other people have comments, so I'll just leave those for thoughts for you. Maybe we can defer a couple items to 27, save that money in our budget, and then the cost then, you know why I say that? Then the whole park problem isn't really a budget problem. It's like people want to discuss what's in the park. I like it, but it's in there, but the money problem is what I'm worried about.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Please.
John Hutchinson, 3199 Stillwood Lane. I'm the property that butts up against the entrance of the park. The reason I'm just, look, very nice plans, looks very nice. I'm glad you're not putting sidewalks in. That's what I was gonna say. So there's no sidewalks going in, correct?
Just in the park, like
It's in the park.
along the driveway of
That's
the
what I
park.
just wanna know. As I said, only problem is, PennDOT's aware of, they said 35, 38 miles an hour coming down the road. I had an occurrence that happened several years ago and never reported it, but someone must have came down very wildly down the road and drove on my lawn. Drove on my lawn and drove down my driveway. So I'm just concerned about, I have a child who is a special needs child in a wheelchair. And just concerned about just more traffic going in that property. That's all I'm concerned about. And so I was hoping that will be able to take care of by PennDOT, and maybe they're gonna put any bumpers or any obstacles are gonna slow down the cars that come down the street. Because it is a large pitch. If you drive up, and it's not bad, you're going up, as you're coming down, it's like a wild snake hill. And if you're going on a bike, you're going, I guess you had to clock around probably 40 miles an hour, coming down top of the hill, going down. And you're coming down a hill with a lot of cars, a lot of people go in and out into that park, you're gonna have some issues. I'm gonna guarantee you there'll be there's more accidents in that area. This was to bring that to your attention. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody coming behind you too, if you want to just line up, you can make your way over. It's gonna be challenging for you to get there, so you might as well start now.
Kathy Layton, 3707 Pinnacle Place. I don't know how I feel about the park because it was kind of new and I realized I should have been on top of it. We've only been here a couple of years, but what you did present does look nice. What I'm not hearing is the future on maintenance. Is there toilet? Are there going to be portable toilets they talked about? The maintenance on them, the emptying, how often it's going to be emptied, the asphalt's going to crack, there'll be weeds, painting of the lines, all the maintenance that goes in over the years. Is that being discussed now so that we know that we have the money to go forward and not just let it collapse after it's been built?
Yes, yeah, and we had discussions with the highway department. So it's everything from people were asking questions on whether like snow clearing is necessary on
Right.
the pass and things like that.
Exactly.
So the lawn care component of it, their response is really incidental to their normal duties of doing landscaping work.
And they're doing it now.
Some of the material selections were intentional in the fact that they're lower maintenance. So I don't know what the normal interval is for parking
20.
restriping.
Oh, the striping, it just depends how much
Yeah.
wear and tear it really sees.
It might be every 10 years or something like that to do a touch up. We can do that internally.
Mhm.
We have that function within our public works department.
Okay.
But the asphalt systems, that's typically 20 years
20 years.
plus. One of the advantages of having the turf on either side is you start to eliminate the possibility of invasive plants that would undermine and crack. So there's some thought given into trying to extend the dollars for maintenance as far as
Okay.
possible.
And what about winter? Snow shoveling? Do they shovel the pass?
Mm-mm.
So that none of that will be
Just the
done?
parking lot.
Just the parking lot. Okay.
The same
And
as
what about
ours.
the restrooms?
So we do that now. We have a porta potty contract, and I don't have that information. in
They
front of
come
me.
and they clean, I think, once a week.
So that will be an additional
Yeah.
cost to the current contract
Yeah.
for them to
One-
add that
One
in.
porta potty.
Okay. So that's all, my question is that all in the discussion in the future plan of the park?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we weren't hearing anything about. Sure. I'm feeling like we're barely getting by with the money to make this happen. But then once it happens, we need to keep it up. And that needs to be your responsibility in building that into the budget.
Yeah, it's similar, like the solar lighting was another selection where we didn't have to worry about additional electrical costs, the LED lighting, obviously, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, Chuck's right. All the materials we selected are really based upon low maintenance and long-term durability. Paving, I mean, the asphalt trails wouldn't have to be overlaid for maybe 25 years plus. Same thing for the parking lot. Solar lighting, once you install it, there's no additional electricity charges after that. And the landscaping, we're really just maintaining the lawn edges along the pathway. And the other landscaping is all native and is meant to grow long-term and not need any maintenance. So
Great.
that's why we made these choices.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice work. Thank you. Looks good. Ron Bruniak, 1440 Namus Creek. I've been asked to read this statement on behalf of Dr. Summers. Dear members of the Bethel Township Board Supervisors, I'm writing as a Bethel Township resident to express my support for the Schaefer Preserve project and to thank you for your transparency during the preliminary budget meeting. I would prefer to be at tonight's meeting in person, but another community commitment conflicted with this special session. A recent flyer distributed to residents contained several misleading statements, and I felt it was important to highlight the factual information presented by the township. The Schaefer Preserve is being misrepresented as a major driver of township costs. In reality, the 2026 budget allocates $130,000, which represents only 3.6 of the total expenditures. The vast majority of Schaefer funding comes from secured grants, recreation fee in lieu funds, previously allocated ARP funds, and additional grant and donation opportunities. To date, nearly all expenses have been covered by these outside sources, not the general fund. Future plans, including privacy measures, native plantings, environmentally responsible grading, and accessible trail design demonstrate that the project is thoughtful, modest, and community-based. The Schaefer Preserve is a long-term investment in open space, recreation, and environmental stewardship, benefiting the entire community at a reasonable and well-planned cost. I appreciate the board's careful financial management and your commitment to providing residents with accurate, clear information. Thank you for your continued service to Bethel Township. Best regards, Dr. Stacy Summers, PSYD, 87 Robbins Road, Garnet Valley, PA, 19060. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good job.
Hi, Diane Smith, 1602 Wendy Way. A couple of points I wanted to make, just double check with or make. That survey, that online survey was only filled out by 314 participants. How many households are there in Bethel Township? And were absolutely every one of these participants from Bethel Township? Were they vetted?
That was a question, and there were very few that answered that were not. I can look up the number, but there were some. It wasn't limited to Bethel Township
I
residents.
think there was like
It was a small
handful, yeah.
number.
it was
Okay.
Less than 10.
How many households are there though? Because
Total households?
Yeah,
Three, yeah.
so only 10% of the population of the township really answered the survey, right?
Which, I mean.
Well, you could have multiple people in one household also answer.
True, that's true, because my husband and I both answered it and what happens if we don't get one of those, any of those grants or, we're going to incur these bills, but we're not going to get, we might not get these grants. They're not a done deal. They're not guaranteed. What happens then?
The question, I guess, is whether or not, here's what I think is going to happen, is we're waiting to hear on the grants that we currently have out, and we're continuing to look for more grants. And in all likelihood, we'll probably be successful in some and unsuccessful in others. And, we need to understand what it is that we can do with the funds that we have once we get that resolution. So if that is a situation where things have to push into a following year until grants are, accounted for, then that's a decision we have to make. If there is an opportunity to do a public fundraising driver to meet a margin, then that's an opportunity. So it's hard to really know until we get a green light or a red light on some of these things. But it hasn't stopped Supervisor Icona from continuing to peel off new avenues.
So, if I was promised some money and, I want to go out and buy a diamond ring or something, I wouldn't buy that object until I knew I had all the money. And how are you going to let us know, the public know that you got the money? It seems like you're full steam ahead to spend this money, but we don't know we got it,
Well, we always make announcements when we're applying for grants. We
Right.
have to, and we will make announcements if we win grants.
Okay, but how about if you don't win the grant and you've overspent? Are you going to announce that? I kind of doubt it.
Well, I would think that we're looking to have, prior to construction, we're looking to have the finances sorted. But there's time between now and that point. There's the permit phase, any permit corrections, then there's the advertisement, and then the bids could come in different than what the engineer's estimate is. So we understand there has to be some reaction.
Right.
And then there's a decision point. At that point where are you going to award the contract to a contractor? Are we under by a margin that's unsatisfactory? Then we have to hold the bid.
Mhm.
and look for additional funding.
Can we have that be transparent on the website? Can the public be kept up on that? Because, I mean, you didn't even bring, like on the screen today, you didn't even put the itemized list. I know you put it on the website, but maybe you should have put it up on the screen tonight. I think that was kind of shameful that you didn't put this itemized list for almost 1.37. Why isn't that up there? I think we really have to work harder at being more transparent and being more communicative and how are you spending our money? Okay, also the price on here and on here, they agree, they do match. They are $100,000 more than what's in the budget. I know you don't want to talk about the budget tonight, but it is about the park. Is our deficit going to be increased by 100,000 now because this project is 100,000 more expensive?
You keep saying they're $100,000 more than what's in the budget. The budget does not have a $1 million line item for Schaefer in it.
I know, I can't find it.
That's because it's not
Very,
there.
Very well.
It's not there. There's a
But-
$130,000 line item for Schaefer in the budget for next year.
But the budget
Which-
presentation potentially is what you're talking about. The number I presented, is
Yeah.
that what we're talking
You
about?
mentioned it in there too. Yeah, sure.
But is that where the $100,000 gap is between the
It
number?
is a difference.
It is a
from
difference,
A
yeah.
week or two. I
Yeah.
don't know what the time
So
was.
the
but-
reason it's different is I didn't have the most updated
Right.
costs. And I guess the question is, would that be something that goes into the budget? For the general fund, the answer is no. Is that goes into the funds that we're still trying to secure through additional grant?
That we're not going to spend until we get that money, right? I mean,
Well, it depends on, I
I
mean,
think you
there,
guys should make a commitment that you're not going to spend that money until you get that money,
Well, we're spending the grant money now. The grant money's paying for the consultants.
right?
and the
but-
permits and advertisement. So that's why I don't want to, there has to be a little bit of grace in us
Mhm.
being able to read and react to what grants
Sure.
we do and don't have.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, and then NALT. How can you proceed if you've heard nothing from them?
They
And
said
aren't they
they'll provide
important?
comments after they get the final plan. So they
Oh,
haven't
really?
seen-
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're gonna get what we're doing tonight. They're gonna get that in the next few days. And then,
When they submit for permits, we'll submit.
We still have to go through permits. So once we go through permits, these plans are still gonna be revised based upon comments back from DEP and.
The hope is that when we submit for permits, those permit plans will go to NOLT. I'm hoping they will provide some initial feedback. And then as they get additional comments from the state for their plans, we'll kind of make revisions and kind of resubmit to NOLT.
and this really isn't the final then.
It would be fairly close
All right.
as far as the plans go, yeah.
Two more things. After I sit down, maybe someone can discuss what ARP is really. I don't really know what that is. Maybe you can give a brief thing of, because it seems like we spent a lot of that money and I don't know where that comes from and what that is. And I would bet that a lot of people don't know what that is, right? So we would like to hear what that is exactly and why you're where does that come from and things like that. And then the other thing is that I see we dropped down to 0.42 miles of paths.
It's 0.42 is the group.
Uh-huh.
It's 0.42, and so was 0.6.
What is 0.6?
0.6. The-
It's
the
everything.
trail is 0.6. The loop that
Oh,
circles on itself, that's 0.42.
Okay, well, you know what? I figured that out last night. I just figured it out tonight. On 0.42 miles of path, we're paying $618 per linear feet. It's not a lot of bang for our buck. If I want to go for a walk, I think I might want to walk a little further than 0.42 or 0.60. I think that worked out to be almost $400 per linear foot. Okay, that's a lot. That's as much as it is to build a whole house, a nice house. And it just seems like a lot of money.
What's the big number you're using to divide by? Is it the
1.37.
the full cost?
Yeah,
Well, that would include the stormwater management measures.
well,
Right.
that's what, if we don't build the park, we don't need the stormwater, like it's all part of the same thing. So it's just a measure. I mean, it's what realtors use, to measure stuff. It's just a measure for people to put it in some sort of perspective. This is a lot of money, and if you're an exercise person and you want to go for a walk, I'm not sure this is a lot worth it for that. That's just an opinion. Maybe people will disagree with me. Oh, that's your guys. And I think that's it. The footboards are mine. If you want to, there's a petition to sign. If you just want to keep it more plain, there's 2 clipboards going around. They're just given to me at the end of the meeting. All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm back from the other night. I'm Dorina McHale. I'm at 2112 Shadyside Lane. I'm gonna be talking to you folks and also to you folks at the same time, so I'm gonna go back and forth, okay? And I do have a pretty loud voice, so you probably can hear me in the back. So I'm gonna be kind of the devil here a little bit. I do want to follow up just a little bit on what the other lady just talked about. I've been a resident of Bethel for 30 years. And this is the second meeting that I've come to. Honestly, I thought everything was hunky-dory. Part of what the other lady was talking about is the transparency and the communication. In my view, if I were on the board and we were facing with this kind of situation 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever, some kind of communication, for goodness sake, it could have been even been inserted in our tax bills. Okay, hey, this is what's going on. What do you think about that? So those 370 whatever people that did the survey out of whatever the total numbers were, that's a pretty darn low number. I didn't know anything about it. I would have done the survey if I had known about it. And I'm sure a lot of other people didn't know about it. Okay, all right. So that's kind of, so I don't really have a lot of questions. I have a lot of comments, not so many questions, okay? So I do have a little bit of a problem with the transparency and the communication. I would like to be informed, unless I'm on the website every single day. I'm sorry, I have a life to run too, okay? So no, I'm not going to be on the website every single day and see what's going on. But something critical like this, we should have been all informed. Okay. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say, I do congratulate you folks, engineers, and I do have a technical background myself, quite frankly. Let's not get into that. But you've done a tremendous job with the drawings and the information and so on, professionally. Beautiful. I do respect for that. By the way, I'm very happy that we're all being respectful with each other, by the way, okay? Regardless of whether you think this way and I think this way. I'm so happy of the atmosphere that we're creating here, okay? So regardless of what, you might think or what I might think, please let's just talk to each other, not scream at each other, let's talk to each other. So, my thought about this is, we as homeowners, when we're faced with some kind of an extraordinary expenditure, and by the way, for those of you that were not here on Tuesday, I also did go through some of the numbers of the extreme tax increases that we've had since 2020. You might remember some of those numbers. And don't forget, give us a break, I guess what I'm trying to say. Don't forget, so from 2020, not only we had to deal with the pandemic, that was the peak of COVID, and our supplies were low, prices were high. Okay, and then 2021, we were hit with the county reassessment, another big increase. And now this past year too, was 44% increase in my taxes. I don't know about yours, but just the township, never mind Delaware County and the school district. Let's not even get into the school district. Okay, so anyways, so what I was starting to say, we as homeowners, when we are faced with some kind of a big expenditure, we have a few things to think about. Do I really need this? Well, if it's something, the pump just broke or the dishwasher or whatever. Yeah, I need to fix that. Okay, so that's necessary. It's a necessary thing. And do I have the money for that? Well, if I do, great. If I don't, I got to figure out how I'm going to pay for it, right? Okay. So my question is, and it's actually not a question, it's a comment. I guess I'm trying to figure out, do we really need this? How many other parks are in this area? Okay. My recommendation is no, we don't need it. And besides that, besides the fact that we don't need it, I think we don't need it. I'm thinking of a couple things, the impact, and we did talk about this a little bit on Tuesday. By the way, as you folks are making your decisions on what to do from here on, I hope they also take into consideration the comments that were given on Tuesday. The impact that this would have on the neighbors in that particular area, I'm not close to that area, but it would still affect us for the whole township. I think it would affect somewhat. You know, some folks might think that this might increase your property value. I disagree. I think it would decrease your property value. As I said on Tuesday, if I were a home buyer right now, and I went over there and I saw the paved asphalt trails and the benches and the gazebos, and don't forget those porta potties too, okay? Don't forget the porta potties. How do you think those are gonna smell in 90+ degree weather in the middle of the summer? Or when there's a big high wind? If I were a house, if I had a property right there in that vicinity, I don't know if I would like that. Do I want to deal with people coming around that I don't even know? Gee, what else? Maybe liabilities, if somebody gets hurt there, who's gonna take care of that? What else? What other concerns we might have if there are problems in that area? Again, if I were a neighbor there, would I want those people to be looking around? But I don't know these people. I bet in the evening, are there gonna be people coming there that shouldn't be there? Burglars, maybe? People going there to drink or whatever the heck they want to do. Excuse me for getting excited a little bit. It's, you know, you notice I talk with my hands too, right? Okay. So, my point is though, is think about it, if by chance this project, this park, I don't have a problem with the preserve. I think it's a beautiful thing that we have open areas, but I do have a problem with building this as a park. When you think about it, this is actually in conflict with, in my view, I think this is in conflict with the purpose of this preserve. Do we want to preserve it as it is? Perhaps just maintain it, make sure that it doesn't rot out, you know? Okay, so we're not building it. I mean, the whole idea in the beginning was that so that area does not get developed, right? Okay, so what are we doing? We're putting asphalt, we're putting walls, we're putting fences, parking lots. Isn't it kind of building it up? Isn't it? That's the way I kind of look at it. Okay, so the first question was, is it necessary? I don't think it's necessary. Is it something that we want? I personally don't want it. And you see, if it, I guess to follow up on the concept that I was trying to say earlier, if it decreases the value of the properties in the neighboring properties, I think it would decrease the value of all of our properties in the whole township. You know, especially these days with all this social media stuff. Something happens there. Hey, the word gets around pretty quick. Did you hear what happened in Bethel Township last night? Huh? Okay. What do you think is going to happen from there? So, oh yeah, okay, we could put signs there. So, no, you can only come here from this time to this time. Yeah, sure. We can put the signs. We can even put a gate, you know, that opens and closes at whatever time, whatever, fine. We could do that. Okay. How do we enforce that? Do we want to use our police to, let's say, babysit that area? Is that what we want to use the resources for? To babysit that area? not 100% of the time, I understand it, but a police has more important work to do. Right? Okay. So in my mind, I'm saying it's not necessary. We have tons of other parks and locally, close by. In addition to the one on Road Street, one, it's a county park, I understand, but it's a beautiful big park with playground for children and so on. Great. They even do the summer concert things there too. Very nice. Okay. So the question here, if we don't want this, let's just leave it as an open space. Maintain it, yeah, great, maintain it. And I'm saying even if and when future funds are available, I still wouldn't want it. I still wouldn't want it.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to me.
Hi, I'm David Sherry, 3672 Marion Drive. I hope not to advocate for the devil. In the budget, it's 1.3 million, but it really is 2 million because if you consider the purchase price of the property.
Total cost of the
So,
program.
so
correct.
that's what we're looking at. I just want to make that clear in my mind. The other thing that I had kind of alludes to what the previous speaker asked about is this going to be Lover's Lane or, after prom party place? Is there going to be after hours? Is there going to be a curfew, a PM
All
curfew?
our parks are dusk till dawn.
Okay,
And there's a gate.
there will be a gate.
There's a
Okay.
gate there now.
And I have no problem with the police doing a drive-by. I think that's part of the
Yeah.
police's job is to drive by our neighborhoods.
And I would say,
You know?
even if it were to be undeveloped at all, it's still public property. That activity could still happen. In general, statistics would say undeveloped spaces tend to,
Yeah, we have a gate there now that is open
Yeah.
and closed at dusk and dawn.
Yeah, and the comment that I have in response a little bit to the previous speaker is that I would have not ever gone there had there not been some design, some place to go there. I mean, it's just land. Okay, it's just land. I wouldn't know if it was anybody's or, why would I ever go there? But this way you can enjoy a bit of nature. And so that's my comment.
thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Sandro, 1654 Hans Lane. I'm a senior. I'm in my 70s, and I enjoy walking. I live in a community, and I have paths to walk on, and there's streets that I can walk on. I can walk on a sidewalk, one of the few that we have in Bethel Township. However, it's on Naaman's Creek Road, and it's very noisy, very loud, kind of threatening, it's not a pleasant experience. About the survey, when that was sent, it wasn't sent, it was advertised, and there was a considerable length of time. Can you, was it like 4 months or 5 months
It's like
that
9
people
months.
in our community could go online and respond? How long was it?
I think it was like 9 months. It was open.
for a long time.
Again, 9?
9 months, I think, yeah.
9 months.
How was it advertised?
It was on the website, we all go to the website, we look at our calendar,
It was
those
on the
kinds of things.
website.
What's coming up?
We advertised it.
Media.
No, we advertised it at the Corn Boil.
There were flyers around.
We handed out flyers
Yeah.
during our recycling events. Yeah,
At the
we-
township office,
Yeah.
QR codes.
multiple ways.
Okay, so just be aware that, it was out there. Perhaps, you weren't paying attention. The other thing is, I want you to know that, there's a lot of us that, we do favor, preserving the natural. And we would like to do the walking. I see myself as going to Schaefer Preserve to walk, all times of the year. In the fall, spring, summer, winter. We have a great climate. I don't want to go and drive 30 minutes over to Ridley Creek State Park. And I don't want to go over to Concord to go all around that, path that they have with the high tension wires. I live in Bethel. I like Bethel. We have 3 parks that is minuscule. And they really don't, for our population, it's almost like over 3,000 people can get serviced on those parks. So it's, moving forward with Schaefer Preserve is great. And it's just not for this time, it's for the future. We need to think about what's happening in the future. And I thank, the board for the transparency. I can go on their website, I can find the maps, I can find comments, the meetings, the archives. Thank you for doing that. And it's just a matter of, like looking at Bethel and trying to give back to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Dan Gillen, 1663 Wisteria Way. I went over there this morning, I walked the preserve, and I think it's beautiful as it is. But I do have a question about the ash trees. Are they going to be just allowed to die in place, or are they going to be harvested? What's going to happen with them?
Well, as part of this plan, we are removing some of the ash trees to.
I saw some of them marked.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we're not removing them all. So that would have to be something that would occur at a later date.
Aren't they going to die anyway with the?
Yeah,
Well,
so we have a treatment plan for the ash trees. Dr. Schaefer was implementing it when he owned the property.
But that's very expensive though.
It's every couple of years, it's a couple $1,000s, yeah. And then, no, for the whole treatment.
Because I lived in Foxfield and we had ash trees and they were 7-inch diameter. It was $50 a tree.
Oh, yeah, no, we don't pay per tree. And then as they fall or as they, start to kind of get deteriorated, we assess and we'll remove trees as needed, like we do with all of our other parks.
But could you get some money if you harvested them now, since they're going to be going anyway?
When an ash tree is identified as diseased, it's not marketable timber any
Are
longer.
they all identified as disease? Well, just let them go.
They're firewood, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing? Mike Dunn, 3236 Goodley Road. For some clarification, with the, keep hearing the $1.3 million being thrown on as far as the budget. Most of that, if not all that, is coming from grants, supplements, things like that. As far as what the taxpayers are going to be responsible for, trying to minimize that as much as possible, obviously. Right now, we're looking at a line item of 130,000, roughly like that.
Correct.
90% theoretically is going to be paid by grants and things like that. So I think a little more emphasis should be put on that it's not really $1.3 million. If all this stuff is successful, you're getting all this work that's done for $130,000. It's a much, much different number.
That's true.
Thank you for all the hard work you guys do getting those grants and stuff. Hopefully we do qualify for them all. And if not, we do it in stages. You wait till next year, you apply again. This is not something like a diamond where it's a one big ticket item. You can do things in stages as needs to be done, as the money becomes available to keep the budget down. Another thing, I live right up against Dr. Schaefer's property. Since I moved in back in 1998, there's been people back at Dr. Schaefer's property. Doesn't matter whether it's owned, unowned, open, developed, doesn't matter. People come back there. They're not going to stop that. Dr. Schaefer didn't have cars back there. We don't have cars back there. More chance, safer of it if it is developed and you had a path back there and people went back there. A lot less opportunity for, people up to no good to be back there all day time, walking around, stuff like that. I also think being there, a couple of things could have happened with that property. The easement could have went away, could have converted over, and there could be houses back there. I enjoy it being open. I enjoy there being no lights. I enjoy there being wildlife. I enjoy all that stuff. That's why I moved to Bethel back in 1998. That's why I'm here. That's why most of you are here. So I think that's a really big thing. When you do the reviews and, I'm sorry, the surveys that people have answered, one of the top things you guys start off the meeting with, 70%, 80% want open land. You did what you had. Is there 317 or whatever it was responders? That's who responded. You know, is there 10,000 people in Bethel Township? Yeah, not everyone responded. And things were available. It wasn't a cornball. I was here for meeting after meeting after meeting. They were there for years. Years has been going on. Google Bethel Township. If you're up against Schaefer plan, Schaefer preserve. All the information that you want is there. Transparency is there. Just gotta look for it. So that's it.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Scott Ristine, 3016 Falk Road. I'll be quick. I just want to say, if we want to have a place to walk around, you know, to take a little walk around the park, we have Clayton Park right down the street. You know, if anybody wants to go there. I just think, ma'am in the blue, you know, all due respect, this development here is one expensive walk. And I'm an advocate just for keeping Schaefer Park as it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Erica Brignac, 1440 Namus Creek Road. I just wanted to sort of respond to the talks about, do we need a park? I would like to discuss some of the other things that Bethel Township spends money on yearly. It seems to me, first of all, that the Schaefer Preserve, there is an outlay of the $130,000 this year, but most of the rest of the money would be maintenance fees, which would be minimal, and the use of the park would certainly, in my opinion, and many of the others, outweigh the cost. We have many other costs that we do as a township. We have fireworks. Do we really need fireworks? That's a yearly cost that's very expensive. Upper Chi has fireworks. Wilmington has fireworks. Do we really need fireworks? I don't think so. Do we need a breakfast with Santa? I personally don't celebrate Christmas, as many other people don't in our neighborhood. Do we need a breakfast with Santa? Probably not. Do we need an egg hunt, an egg roll? No, we don't need it, but the community enjoys it. The community enjoys
Excuse me.
lunch with Santa.
Please continue.
The community enjoys the fireworks. The park is something that the community would enjoy. Do we need the corn boil? I don't think so. It's not a need. But yet it's something that's a tradition that we have done every year, that we continue to do. We add to it. I thought this year's was by far one of the best, even though the weather wasn't as great as we had hoped. So I think that we need to move beyond the needs, because we don't look at everything that the township does that way. And I think the cost for this park will pay for itself year after year after year as more people enjoy it. And I believe, I agree with the gentleman that just spoke, that if it is a paved path and people are going to be using the paths, there will be less likelihood of vandalism or the people that are out there now drinking. They don't want to be around people. That's probably why they go to the preserve to do this, because it can be done in private. The police are going to come and drive around the parking lot every so often. There's going to be maintenance people emptying the trash and doing the lawn work. So I think that although it may not be a need, it is a fabulous want. And positive for our community, something that I guess the board who bought the property, 5 years ago, which is not the existing board right here. It was a few of you were on the board then, but it's not the current board. I think it was smart for them to purchase the property knowing that it would not be developed. And I also, I think they knew that there was going to be a cost associated with it. And looking forward from this coming year, once they develop it and do the nice work that these gentlemen have worked so hard to do and keeping it as natural as possible, I think it will be a wonderful addition to our community that people can use every day versus some of the township events that people can only do one day a year. So that's my perspective, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael DeLeo, 3155 William Road. The definition of a preserve is to keep something in its current state. What you guys want to do is the exact opposite. It's unnecessary. 16 parking spaces. You could buy John Atkinson Park any day of the week. There's 4 cars there at max. Clayton Park, parking lot's 90% empty every single day. Is there paved past the Clayton Park that we already have in the township? Yes. This is unnecessary and it's supposed to be preserved, and that's why Dr. Schaefer enrolled it in the NALT program. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Fourteen fifteen, James McDaniel, 1415 Sudbury Road East. There's been a lot of twists and turns with this. I think to be fair, I think you ought to redo the survey. I think you're afraid it's going to go the other way now that everybody knows what this is going to cost. How much is it going to cost to do another survey? You're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars. And that survey, how many years old is it now?
2 years old.
2 years? A lot of changes. Also, Bethel police were at my house today. They were at my house a couple months ago, viewing my security cameras. It overshadows the intersection. 2 different officers. Only my system's better than what they have here. So I think you ought to spend money somewhere else. You know what I mean? Also, my security cameras don't really view the mailbox because that's really not important to me. If somebody blows it up, runs it over, it's just probably paperwork. I did view a vehicle twice that one day, going through the trees, and went down the road and went back up. And opened the mailbox that day. I couldn't see it, but I could hear it. And that's when the letter was put in there. And that vehicle had markings on it. United States Postal Service. Okay?
Better call the feds on that one.
That's right. That's right. I'll send them the CD or whatever that might. But yeah, when you have, and I don't want to get the officers in trouble because I asked them what they thought of the system I had put in. My wife took the cameras about a week or 2 after I put them in, and she viewed the butterflies out back on the bushes. She zoomed them in on the squirrel's nest. You know what I mean? At nighttime, they're where they need to go. But your officers made that comment 2 different ones, 2 different times, that your system over here stinks. Okay, they didn't use them words, but they said mine was better. And I don't know if that's really the way it ought to be. I don't have an unlimited supply of money. I think your money here is going up there. You know. And if you want, handicapped kids, hey, I'm all in. So if you want to take Christmas parties away from them and you want to take the picnic away from them, that kind of unbalances the scale a little bit. But I still say, oh, by the way, you don't have your laptop up.
No.
On the internet, I looked up reviews for you people. And have you read them? Maybe it's the wrong, maybe it's the wrong place, the wrong company. Is it the wrong place? I hope so.
Probably check it tonight.
Well, because the employees are not happy. And I'm asking you to check it. I wish somebody would check it right now. Somebody want to check it right now? Anybody interested? No, pretty what it might say.
No, I'm more focused on.
Yeah, well, you know what? You're spending our money and the review is from the employees. If it's your company, I'm giving you benefit of the doubt. I'm giving you benefit of the doubt because it don't, you know what I mean? I mean, you could clear it up right now. If you wanted to. You don't want to. Afraid
I
what
want
say?
to focus on a comment around the preserve.
It is, because this guy's company's working on the preserve, so I think it's pretty important.
Understood.
And I don't want to, maybe it's not him. You know what I mean? I don't want to, I don't want to say anything, but that's why I think somebody with authority should check it out.
I invite anybody to look at it. I think they did a wonderful job.
I don't care about you. I'm talking about what's on the internet.
That's fine.
You're all in on this. You know what I mean? You're all in about spending money. You know what I mean?
I'm all in on providing something that
And
was
that's
this
why.
this park was purchased before I ever became a board member.
Right,
Okay,
that's-
and I'm dedicated to making sure that every resident has access to it, whether they are able-bodied or they have disabilities. And to
Right.
do that, I need parking and I need paved trails.
And I
And so
think,
that's what I'm committed to.
and I think we need another survey. We need another survey. I stand behind, you might think the survey is going to go the other way now that everybody knows what that's going to cost. That's what I think. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I'll tell you what, it was told to me, I got a following from Garnet Valley High School to Aston, PA. People watch this stuff, they got that older woman that was up here. She's right. Everybody's watching us. I hope.
Think before you speak.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I used to read Upper Darby in the paper, Paul Brown. She's kind of my hero. She got people straight.
Google Paula Brown, you'll find out.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe we need her here. I don't know, not the violent part, but she was made things right. That's what I'm saying. But like I say, I brought this up. Maybe if you come back next time, you can tell me I'm wrong.
I hope so.
But it's employees. And that, to me, I've worked for a contractor for 10 years. They would be concerned what people were saying about their, employees were saying about the company. I'd probably get you fired. But like I say, I'm asking the gentleman there to check. He could do it within a couple of minutes. You don't want to.
I have full confidence in this firm, but that's
Okay.
not the focus of this session.
I'm glad because now you're being recorded on
Absolutely.
that. Okay. I'm done.
Thank you.
I still think you ought to take another survey.
Hi, I'm Donna Keely, 3640 Carter Mine Road. One thought, if possible, to think about, to save any money as possible. I always run down Beaver Valley. Most of us that grew up around here, that run in the valley. Those trails are natural. Is it possible to make some of ours natural to keep some of the costs down instead of having the blacktop? I still see a lot of people with wheelchairs and stuff at those parks too. So it's still accessible. It might not be. They might have to work a little bit better for, some of the terrain, some of it's hilly. But you see a lot of people do that with bikes, walking and all that. And it's still more natural where a lot of people want to see it natural. You're not turning up as bad, but you're still making it a beautiful park and a lot of access, but keeps the cost down. And a stone driveway, something like that, just to consider some of the costs. Cost seems to be the biggest issue with a lot of people. So if you're keeping it natural and keeping the cost down, you might have less slack on it. So it's just another avenue to look at it to keep it more reasonable for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Nick Trezonis, 3216 Garnet Mine. All right, let's start with, I love parks. Parks are great. I go to Concord, I go to Clayton, I've gone to Atkinson, I go to, there's a fourth one around that my wife's dragged me to. Great. No problem walking a park, but I've got 4 of them very close to me, closer than this one, so there's another concern for me personally. But my bigger problem is I'm coming from a financial standpoint. I want a Ferrari, but I can't afford a Ferrari. So I bought a Toyota, and that works just fine for me. So the Toyotas that I've got real close to me are working great. I'm having a really hard time understanding that we bought a preserve to turn it into a preserve, to spend more money to turn it into a park. What? That just sounds insane to me to spend that kind of money. Oh, and I want to talk about the grants. Has anyone ever heard the expression, there's no such thing as a free lunch? Do you think those grants are coming without any stipulations? I doubt it. And another thing, I've never seen a government contract come in at budget, ever. So is there any guarantees that we're going to be able to stay there? Because like all these other people, my taxes have gone up. I don't have any more. Like it was said Tuesday night, my income hasn't gone up 100%. My taxes have. As to young lady in the blue.
I'm sorry, okay, if you could just focus on either addressing comments to the dais
Okay,
or to the.
so I think if you live in Foxfield and you've got all your plowed roads around there and it's snowy now and we just said that we're not going to be plowing these walkways in the wintertime, do you think that they're going to cross the street to go to a park that's more dangerous? Which opens up another thing for me. Okay, what's our liability if someone does go walking through the park, slips and falls on an unshoveled walkway? Are we exposed in that manner? As to the survey, I hate to say it, I agree with Jim. We need to do the survey again. I stare at a computer all day long. When I come home, I'm not looking at that. I don't turn it on when I come home because I'm burned out. I had no idea this was happening until the fateful letter. And again, a park is nice, but fiscally conservative is much nicer to me. That's all.
Thank you.
Robert Cinquina, 1268 Brookstone Drive. First of all, good job, gentlemen. Good job to the board. My point I want to make is I'm new to the township. I haven't lived here very long. We elect the board and we hope that they will make their decisions to be financially prudent for the residents of the township. And I'm a senior, I'm on a fixed income, and there's a lot of taxes between the 3 entities. And if we can afford it, some people are going to like it, some people are not going to like it. It can't please everybody. I just ask that when you make your decisions, that you think about the residents' financial well-being and you make prudently financial decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Tina Picchiotti, 3246 Goodley. I love the idea of preserving it with no pavement. We have the goat farm that is mowed and a track around there. It's gorgeous. Again, the liability comes up because I'm right at the bridge. And if you're taking the existing fence to be where they block off, but having the bridge not there, the people are gonna come on my property, they're gonna slip on a rock on the creek. They're gonna hurt my husband built a trail in our yard with just trees and mulch. They're gonna think my trail is the preserve trail, which is not paved. It's gorgeous trail. We don't have to maintain it. And that's what could be used. I mean, we could be used as a wheelbarrow to take the mulch back there to get away from me. So it's like a wheelchair could be pushed on a mulched path. It doesn't have to be paved. And I just think that if you're fighting for grant money, then you should fight for the grant money to fix that bridge that overflows and floods the street.
Is there any other comment?
With the survey, was there an option to just
I'm
preserve the preserve?
Could you, I'm sorry, could you get to the podium, please?
That's the only question.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
In the survey, was there an option to just do nothing, preserve the preserve?
Yeah,
There was an open-ended question on like, I think what you would like to see.
But you're forcing people in one direction. You're not giving
No,
them,
like-
you're not giving
people-
them the opportunity to just say, we want to do
No,
nothing.
there were comments in there that said we want to do
But
nothing.
you had the right.
You had to
man.
type it.
You had
It
to type
wasn't,
it.
it wasn't
Yeah.
presented to you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Why? Why are you so stuck on developing it?
I think I said it earlier, and that if you didn't have parking, then only the folks that live adjacent would really optimize
You
it.
can pour stone there. You can park 8 cars there and do nothing. And it's a
Well,
preserve.
so now you're talking about like a materials question. We went over that before too. The material selection was based on, maintenance and longevity. And then if you're asking me about the trails, again, I'll go back to we want them to be ADA compliant so that our entire community can use it. So it may not be the answer that you want, but if you're asking why that's where the direction has been, those are the responses.
Under the guidance of NOL, it says you're allowed to do minor grading. Is 3 retention ponds and grading the hill, is that considered minor?
Well, I would leave it to my engineers, but I understand that this is going to improve the stormwater conditions. That's the reasons to do those things.
The grading is disturbing the land. What you
Correct.
have to do to make the basins, you have to do it to put in the trail, and you have to do it for the bridge, and you have to do it to the elevation change of the slope, which I think was in the grading plan. When you come in the driveway down to the right,
It was in the grading plan, and we did run some calculations, about 5% of the land when it's done will be paved. The remainder is gonna be unpaved.
so you're
So-
not grading just to change the topography.
We're
of the
not grading
park.
to change the topography, we're grading to make sure that the path is ADA accessible, that's the requirements.
Because when I see the elevation lines on there for the grading, it looks like 3/4 of the park's gonna be disturbed in the process of
I think
doing
it's
this.
only 7 acres total.
7 out of 20.
There's more than 7 acres.
So you consider 7 out of 20 minor, how will it even get past NOL's rules?
My understanding is for a fee, NOLT will amend the conservation easement.
The township does that with open space too. And then they want more open space, but they sell it. The Turner property, they receive $73,000 to have 0 open space. They cut down every single tree just so people can go and plant trees because they don't want to see their neighbor. So on one hand, you want to preserve the land, on the other hand, you sell and let developers out of preserving any open space within the communities. I've seen it done numerous times. Do you not let developers
and there's-
buy their way out of preserving?
There's
any land?
$250,000 in that fund that can be used to preserve our other 3 parks, but it's gonna be dumped into here.
John Atkinson Park's barely kept up as it is.
And ours are parked there all the time, just sitting there. For, personal parking purposes.
It's just a bad use of funds and it's not the way that Dr. Schaefer wanted the land used.
Yeah.
That's why he protected it. If it wasn't protected by him, it would be developed. It would be a developer.
Any other comments?
I have one question. The roads access into the park, I know there's one from Bethel Road, is there one from the other side? Goodley? No, so the parking is only gonna be on the Bethel Road side, right? And it's 16 spots. So I'm just trying to figure that out, thank you.
Yep.
So
James McDaniel, 1415 Zebby Road East. Like I said the other day, yesterday, I think it was, been here 48 years. Amos Creek Road, I think I was there 17 years and 11 months before I moved out. Does anybody know what was at John Axon Park before it became a park? Anybody know what that ground was?
Yeah.
Yes, I work for Sunoco, and they tried their best to keep things clean. But I wouldn't touch nothing in that water. Is there any signs down there tell people keep their hands out of water? You know, that was retention pond, right? All them tanks, when it rained, all ended up in that pond that I know of. They used to have a fence around it. When we were kids, you weren't allowed in it, weren't allowed around it. I don't know what's changed. Is there any been, now, you know, you want to spend money, I can spend money for you. You ever take any core samples out of that pond? Any water samples?
Talking about the pond at Atkinson Park?
Yeah, it was Sunwell Retention Pond.
Yeah, no, this is the first time I'm understanding this.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say, you gonna spend money, let's spend it where it needs to be spent. There's people fishing in that pond. You know if the water's any good? It's
I
stagnant.
don't know, yeah.
It's stagnant because you got a water fountain in it. So I think you better look in that direction too.
Okay.
That was all tank farm, all of it. And tanks leak, let me tell you. No matter how good you break a pipeline, you can have the suck truck there. Some residue does get out. And that was there many years. So if you're gonna spend money on this, you're up, like the gentleman said, the Axon Park needs some work. I think that's where you ought to start. Check the water, check the tank. Core samples out of that bottom of that pond. How deep is that pond?
I don't know.
Because, you know, wintertime, kids get on that ice. And you don't know how deep the pond is? Township, that's not a liability for the township?
Well, I don't know that the township, I don't personally know what the depth of the pond is.
Yeah. Well, to me, there's liability there. You're worried about somebody tripping on a tree root. How about a kid falling through a hole of ice? You know, when you fall through a hole in the ice, you don't usually come back up the same hole you fell in. I can't believe nobody knows how deep that pond is. Pardon?
Yeah.
That's all. Because now that I mention it, I think it's a liability.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, there was a question before about the American Rescue Plan Act funds and how that worked. So I think in 2021,
During COVID.
it was during COVID, but after 2020, I believe, the federal, there's federal funding that was given out to municipalities. And this is in agenda and meeting minutes as well. I think Bethel Township was given, I think, $974,000. And there's a special meeting held back then that where there was discussion about how that all would be spent. And there was kind of allocations earmarked, certain percentage for police, a certain percentage for MS4, for highway, and for parks. So in that meeting, it was, and I want to say it was like 16 or 20% for each of these kind of categories. So in those years following 2021, there was a finite amount of time where you had to earmark that money and spend that money in accordance with the requirements of the funding. At the end of 2024, all the money had been earmarked, but it had not yet been spent. So that was okay if we moved it to our general fund, but we kept the allocations so that we were holding true to the previous discussion. So things that were purchased, and this is a little bit about budget too, but you know, however we're looking at our expenses and our revenue coming in those years following the pandemic, we had about $1 million injection that we wouldn't traditionally have, which certainly helped ride through, and it helped the previous board, to me, make some, I think, some good decisions on getting ahead of some preventative maintenance. Is that okay?
Yeah, I know I do.
I don't see any other,
If there's no more, can I have? a few
Please.
comments? So back to the ARP. So the federal government using our taxpayer money gave billions and billions of dollars to every single town in the United States to use for whatever they wanted. So went into the general fund for any legal purpose. So that's what that money was. So I just want to clarify the cost, and I disagree with the presentation that we've only spent $66,000. It's a matter of how you look at things. So that 66,000 came out of the general fund. There was additional 30-some thousand that came from the ARP, okay? They're not including that. I want to include that because that can be used for any legal purpose to pay for anything in the township. So that came out of the general fund. So that's about 100,000 all into this point. In the 2026 budget, they're saying 130,000 out of the general fund, another 72,000 out of ARP money. Once again, that's general fund money. So that's 200,000. So we have 100,000 in, another 200,000, we're up to 300,000. And as you were mentioning, sir, about the paying off developers not to get rid of open space. We call it something fancy, in lieu of fee, you know what I mean? In lieu of having open spaces, pay us money. There's over $250,000 in that fund, which can be used to take care of all of our parks for probably decades to come. That money is going to be all sucked into Schaefer. So you take the 100,000 in, 200 next year, another 250, that's $550,000. So when people say 66,000, that is inaccurate. That is misleading. That's my opinion. People disagree with, that's fine. But there's nothing in what I just told you about where that money came from that's inaccurate. One more thing. Over the last couple of years, unfortunately, countrywide, it's been very difficult for people to want to be cops. It's unfortunate. I hope that trend changes nationwide. Same problem here in Bethel. And part of it is it was pay. When I came on here, you could work at Wawa and get paid more than to be a Bethel cop. And I appreciate the support I got from other board members to get those salaries increased. But we've always been budgeting for having a full staff of police. And for the last number of years, that never happens. So there's already a pre-budgeted amount of money in PD that gets transferred to another project because that money hasn't been spent. So what I'm asking my colleagues who may disagree with me with other things is, will you promise that if the budget for Schaefer is overrunning or there's not enough grant money, you won't suck the money out of unused PD money for Schaefer?
Yes, I make that promise.
Yeah.
Sure, 100%.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
as well? Were you part of the board that made the initial purchase?
No, I came on after.
Afterwards.
It was just Giovanni and Didi.
Yeah.
Okay. If you were on, would you have supported the park then? Or do you think, I don't think that you support the park.
No, I want to say, beautiful, beautiful. Nobody's disagreeing on how beautiful it is. But there's a lot of things that I like that are beautiful. But instead I drive a 15-year-old truck because that's the way life is. You know what I mean? So I don't disagree. It's beautiful and I'd love to have it. I just don't think it's the right time. That's it. So. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I want to say something, please. Scott Vance, 1612 Wendy Way. Thank you for your transparency. We appreciate that. I heard several times tonight the request to send the surveys out again. Why don't we just send out a survey again, or at the next election, yes to the park, no to the park? Make it simple. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I don't see anyone else. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Happy Thanksgiving too. Yeah, I support that.
What's that?
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't want to use it, that's, I don't want to use it for anything but payroll.
Yeah, that's what
No
the goal
cameras,
was.
no cameras, in my opinion, so I'm going to submit, I'm going to send you guys another shade down. What I think I want to do, am I holding you up?